What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Garbear Fitness. So today's topic is, are you too tired to work out? And if you are, what could some possibilities be as to why? And I wanted to make this because sometimes we have reasons, we're too tired to do something, and I wanted to gear this video as for the next couple of videos as well, aiming towards working out topics too. So we always go through time periods, where we're too tired to go to the gym, or we go to the gym and have, really crappy workouts. We have very, low energy, low motivation, things like that. We don't have any drive anymore, or we'll just go to the gym and do super light workouts, and our body's not growing or responding anymore. And sometimes we go through and we don't actually go and question these things. We just keep going and going, and the routine continues, and it doesn't break, until you take a step back and analyze these things and question them, and then reapproach it. So I actually came with a list today, guys, of get this a little lighter. That should work. I came up with a list today of some of the reasons that people could be having as to why they're being too tired to work out, or and you can again apply these to anything in life, but this video I'm just specifically gearing towards working out. Topic number one, and that's probably the most funny one I wanted to discuss, is are you getting enough rest? So for me personally, I know there's a lot of times when I don't get enough rest, and people ask me all the time, do you ever sleep? Yes, I sleep. So generally during the day, if I'm not running errands or working with my business online, I'm sleeping a couple hours, waking up, taking care of something, and going back and taking a nap. Then at nighttime I work, and then at 3 a.m. or so in the morning I go to the gym, come home, eat around 5 or 6 a.m., then go to sleep. The first thing with that schedule is your internal clock is used to running on a normal, typical 9 to 5, sun up to sundown kind of schedule. And your body always, in my opinion, will always respond better to that schedule than the schedule I'm on. Like the schedule I'm on now, I've been doing for 2 years, so I'm kind of used to it. And I mean, it does still wear on me, I'm sure it's still going to take another couple years for me to get 100% used to it. But that's just what it is, You kind of, at this point, when you're on a certain schedule, you have to make the best of it. But one thing I know, when you're not getting enough rest, is your performance in the gym is going to go down. It's not even just going to be like you can't continuously lift heavy. That's one thing I'm actually talking to my friend about now. We're kind of analyzing about, am I training hard enough? Because sometimes, you'll say like, oh, I'm going to train harder, or I'm going to go do this. But is your body actually putting out the work that you're saying? Is your body pushing out the work that your mind's going to be putting out? And I lost my train of thought. As you guys can see, it is truly a lazy Sunday. So sometimes when I come home, when I get off of work, I'll go to the parking lot and either sit there and just, relax for about, 20, 30 minutes or so. But I'll find myself dozing off, which is really funny because sometimes I'll actually go to sleep in the gym parking lot, wake up, and it's like 4:30, 5 a.m. And it's like, holy shit, I need to go home and go to sleep. And I think it was like a week or two ago, and it happened like 2 or 3 days in a row where I was just pull up to the gym parking lot, like passed out. And I woke up like an hour or so later, and I was like, okay, Garrett, like you need to take a step back and realize, for some reason right now you're not getting enough rest. You're getting all your food in, you're working, the same schedule, but there's got to be something in your life right now that's changing your current schedule and not allowing you to recover enough. So that's like very funny to me sometimes, like, cause it's just like, holy shit, like this is the meaning of true exhaustion, But that's number one, guys, is to make sure you're getting enough rest. As I just mentioned too, number two will be, did you have a recent change in schedule? As I began taking on more commercial work and auditions, and reanalyzing strategies and different things, and spending more time researching and reading things like that. Even small things, guys, like even taking time to go out and go for a walk or a run or anything like that during the day, it's changing your schedule. Your body's got to take time to adapt to it. So whenever you guys have a small schedule change or even a large one, any kind of schedule change, just duly note that your body's going to respond some kind of way to it, whether it's positive or negative at first, until it adapts to it, and then it can just run off of that pattern continuously. Like as of right now, I'm kind of gearing back into my normal, like, I have energy at 3 a.m. schedule. Like, there was a point, I think the past 2 weeks, because I was spending a lot of time going to a lot of commercial auditions and stuff like that, and driving to Tampa and taking care of business, where I was just like, wow, I don't feel like working out. So I would go to my apartment gym and obviously get in a small workout in, but it wasn't up to the standards I usually train at. And actually, I'll talk about that in the last thing I want to talk about in this video too. But again, guys, just make sure you're taking note of the simple schedule changes you have, and be prepared of how your body's going to respond to them. Number 3 is, are you eating enough? So I think at this point right now, I've been so tired that at my last meal, I've never been able to get in, and I try and backload it into the next day. And the problem with that is when I wake up, because I eat so late, when I wake up at like, 12 noon or so, 1 p.m., I'm not really that hungry, because the last thing I eat before bed is a very heavy meal. So I wake up, I'm not really that hungry, and by the time I'm hungry, it's like 3 p.m. I gotta head out to work at 6, so it's like, am I gonna try and eat the meal from yesterday, or am I gonna start working on today's meals? But besides that, guys, a lot of times people don't realize that they'll be like doing things so much in their everyday life, and maybe start exercising, and then they realize they have no energy at all to do anything anymore. And it can also just be from rest, but you have to make sure that you're putting up the amount of energy in, if not more, for your body to sustain its current performance, or to increase performance. So it's like a caloric maintenance or caloric surplus. I personally like, obviously, always being in a caloric surplus because I'm trying to gain weight. There are times when I actually back down to a maintenance, like I think it was like 3 weeks ago. For the week, I took like a maintenance, just maintenance eating, just to give my digestive system a break. And because I was so busy, I just, I wasn't putting the time in. I didn't have the time to eat the meals all the time. I was always on the road, and by the time I got back to my apartment and things like that, it was time to head out to work. So I did the best I could that week. But we always have shit weeks, and we always learn from them, and look to strive to do better. But you have to make sure that you are getting your food in, and it has to be continuous too, guys. Like, you can't just have a week of heavy eating, and then the next week you don't eat anymore, because your body's not going to respond to it positively. It's going to respond to it negatively, and your performance in any kind of exercise you're doing is going to go down. So that's number 3, guys, is making sure you're eating enough food. Number 4 is, are you training too hard, too much? Now, there's always been topics of, is it possible to overtrain? Is it possible to, yada, yada, yada? Is overtraining a real thing? I believe yes and no. I believe overtraining is possible is under the circumstances, if you are not recovering enough and not eating enough. Now, the third circumstance I believe that on is if you're overtraining and your weight's not continuously going up after a couple of week period, but it's going down. I personally feel like when I train at 3 a.m., just because that's such an unnatural time to work out after work due to exhaustion, there are major time periods where I'll go and my workouts will not be extremely heavy, so I have to focus on trying to get more endurance out of them. I feel like the most amount of weight I ever lifted was probably when I was around like 21, 22. I'm only 24 now. And I was training around like 7 or 8 p.m. and I was on a typical, sun up, sundown schedule. But that was just like the most optimal time my body performed. Like, at that time period, I was pushing 2, 3, 400s on my bench squats and deadlifts. I'm just throwing those numbers in all 3 of those exercises every week. Every week my weight was either staying the same or going up. I would have maybe occasional 1 week I would need to deload, but as you get older, your schedule changes. Your schedule gets very hectic, and you kind of have to compromise and do the things you need to do to make it work and then to improve it. So right now I'm currently in the strategy of improving and continuously keeping my weights going up, and if they're not going up that week, to maintain what they were the previous week. So you have to ask yourself sometimes too, are you trying to do too much and not give your body enough time to recover? Because the thing is too, is that when you're training extremely heavy all the time, it's not just the muscles that need to recover, not just the bones, not just, everything else, but the central nervous system. The central nervous system responds to any excess load and stress and tension that's put on the body. And when your central nervous system doesn't have time to recover, your performance goes down, your immune system gets weak, you can easily get sick. And generally, if you're an extremely healthy person, and you're training extremely hard for long periods of time and you start to get sick, generally a lot of times it's because your central nervous system isn't recovering. And this is something I noticed back in that time period, like when I was 21, 22. I would train extremely heavy, and the one occasional week or so, every couple months, would be the week that I would get sick because my central nervous system wasn't recovering quick enough, or just wasn't having enough time to recover at all. So, guys, that's number 4: is, are you training hard enough? I mean, are you training too hard? Excuse me. So that leads into my 5th topic, guys, is, are you getting sick? Now, I believe there are 2 mindsets on what to do when it comes to exercising when you're getting sick. And it depends how bad you're feeling, and it depends what you have. Now, the first mindset a lot of people have is when you're sick, you shouldn't exercise at all. Because your immune system's weak, you shouldn't be spending time in the gym. You're going to get around bacteria that's going to make you sicker, which I 100% agree with. But I also believe that doing lightweight exercise when you're sick, I mean, unless you're to the point where you can't get out of bed, but I mean, if you have a cold or something like that, doing lightweight exercise, cardio, to get fresh blood flowing through your body, to push it, that whatever you have in your system out, to sweat it out, is very beneficial to you. But you have to make sure that you guys are able to do what you're doing when you're sick, and you're not overdoing it, because when you're sick, you need to take note that your body isn't going to perform the way it is. And if you push yourself too hard, you're going to either stay sick longer or you're going to get worse. So guys, if you are sick, keep those mindsets, those 2 ideas in mind, and kind of figure out what works best for you. My topic, well, what I mentioned in my last little recording earlier in this video, was about like your change in the schedule and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about my change in workout schedule. So what I have down here is, do you need new workout goals, or a new workout in general? So I was training with my friend Dominic, and I was talking to him about how sometimes I wasn't motivated and things like that. And he told me for 1 month to do just like whatever I felt like doing in the gym. So that's what I did. I think I did actually for like 6 weeks, so like a month and a half. And it felt very good because it was very like almost like I wasn't set to a schedule, and it felt very like unwinding on my body. So every time I went to the gym, I would have no clue what I'm doing. I would just go into the gym and be like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I see in front of me. I'm going to do this, this, and this. Or, I'm going to superset this stuff, or drop set it, or pyramid set it. It's going to be totally different for what I do. And each week I did something different. The thing I liked about that for that month and a half was that my body looked like it got a little more conditioned. What was I going to say? It got more conditioned, and my body was sore because it wasn't used to doing that stuff. I did a lot of different exercises in general. And it's interesting now because I have the idea that I can put those into my set routine. But the thing I realized too was that I was losing weight. And I think that was just due to the fact that because I didn't have a set goal and idea in mind, like I just had that super clear mindset, which felt phenomenal. I was going into the gym doing new stuff, and when you're doing new stuff, you generally always aren't starting heavy because your body hasn't gotten used to it. So after this month and a half, coming to the conclusion, I realized for me that, occasionally this would be very good for me to do, but in the long run, I personally, from personal experiences, think that I work better from a set program, because the set programs, when I continuously do certain exercises each week and they have to go up, is when I notice my body's going to grow. Like I noticed this past month and a half, my arms flattened out, my back flattened out, my legs shrunk up a bit, but my body just kind of looked overall a little more conditioned, which was interesting. I lost a couple pounds, but it's all about experimenting and things like that, guys. You can't be too scared to experiment, and you can't always have that egotistic mindset of like, oh, I'm right, and I mean, we all have it. It's interesting because I was texting my friend right now, and we're talking about training chest and stuff, and I'm talking about because if you guys don't know, in my other videos I mentioned I have tricep tendonitis, and I got that back when I was like 18, 17. First year I worked out, I just messed up typical young kid shit. And it never healed because I obviously kept pushing it, and my triceps are obviously at a better point now, but I mean I can still hear them crack, and they still get sore and a little swollen under working out sometimes, but I can feel like sometimes like that ego rises, like, oh, I'm doing this because I don't want to hurt myself and all, like that ego is always going to, like the comfort zone, I'm going to call it the comfort zone ego. The comfort zone ego is always going to try and come back to the surface, but every now and then it's good to just be like, what, let me just, try something new and, see what someone else is talking about. Because again, we don't always know everything, and, as a personal trainer, it's all about educating yourself and, making sure that you're aware that are you pushing yourself enough? Are you pushing yourself too hard? You have to be aware that there's different ideas out there, and you kind of have to understand, especially when you're training other people, how others' mindsets work and things like that, because what you learn can help somebody else. So it's not always just about you and what you feel is always right all the time, but it's good to kind of just switch up and see, what works and what doesn't. And I'm not saying to go to the gym and just fucking throw 500 pounds on a bench press and, break your shit up, but you guys know what I mean. So those are the 5 or 6 topics I want to talk about, guys. Occasionally I'll take like a little bit of caffeine before the gym. I'm not big on caffeine. I don't drink coffee. If I drink coffee, it's like once a year. But I do like BCAA, amino energy. And I like that because it just gives me like a little bit of a boost in energy before the gym. It kind of helps me just get, really geared up when I'm listening to my music. I feel really like just energized and driven and focused. But I take it when I need to because your body can start relying on caffeine a lot. And I'm not very big on supplementation outside of natural energies and foods and things like that. I don't think that someone should have to rely on something every single day to get some kind of performance out. I feel like if you are, then you kind of need to reanalyze your goals, and that's just my mindset. Everybody's different, but I don't believe in relying on caffeine all the time. So that's all these topics I want to discuss today, guys. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the description box below, as well as that's where all my social media is at. I also want to kind of just start little discussions too. So when I make these videos about the gym and things like that, I want you guys to engage them. If you feel I'm wrong, if you feel I'm right, say something. I would like to start talking to you guys more, and connecting with you guys more, interacting. And I like picking people's brains and educating and learning from others as well. So Garbear Fitness, checking out, guys. Stay shredded. This Florida weather is actually the weather of the whole country is really weird because it's gotten from like cold to colder to cold fronts. It's gotten warmer. The next day it's like 30 degrees. So stay warm, stay healthy, have a good weekend. Rest if you need to, and keep these ideas in mind. For all online coaching and personal training, I'm taking clients in person now. Check out GarbearFitness.com for apparel as well. Stay healthy and stay shredded.